We recently learned that there are many people hand registering domain names for the normal price of about $10 per year and then selling them for $1,500 to $4,000 each on brandable domain name marketplaces that exist. Today, we're going to continue this series with a brandable domain name marketplace founder who has some really interesting and useful tips and tricks for domain name investors. I have 3 sponsor messages before we get into today's show. First, if you have a great domain name and nothing to show when people visit, you're missing out on potential advertising revenue, leads, and partnership opportunities. NicheWebsites.com can build you a site quickly with a price option to suit any need. But as their tagline says, they don't just build websites, they build businesses. NicheWebsites.com. Second, if you're buying or selling a domain name or portfolio and you want an estimate of its value, Estabot.com is the place to go. Just like you'd visit Zillow.com to get an estimate of a house value, Estabot.com provides key information about the most important statistics so you can make an informed decision based on data. Finally, whether you're buying, selling, brokering, or financing a domain name, you need an escrow company that's properly licensed, bonded, insured, and audited. That company is escrow.com, and they've been doing it since 1999. Escrow.com. It's about trust. Hey everyone, my name is Michael Seiger. I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, the website where you come to learn how to become a successful domain name investor and entrepreneur directly from the experts. I'd like to welcome to the show Mike Navarini, founder of the ad agency BananaAds.com and the brandable domain name marketplace called Namerific.com. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Doing great. So we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about on today's show. You've actually done. When we did the pre-interview, you mentioned that you've bought and sold domain names on your own marketplace called Namerific.com. Let me start by asking you, what's a real domain name that you've registered? How much did you buy it for, and how much did you sell it for?
Well, I guess I'll start with one of my domains that I bought. It's called Veravo.com, Veravo.com, and I bought it with a coupon on GoDaddy for 99 cents, and I had it sitting in the marketplace for maybe 6 months, and someone picked it up, someone bought it, and I believe we sold it for a few $1,000s. I can't remember the exact amount, but yeah. It was,
so something like 3,000?
Maybe like 2,000, I think.
2,000?
Yeah.
Okay, so 99 cents. So you paid $1 for a domain name. You held it for 6 months. You didn't even have to renew it, and it sold in the marketplace Namerific.com. You know, this is sort of the example that I think a lot of people would love to have happen to them. Is this something that was a lottery ticket, in your opinion? Like, you bought it and you held it and it happened to hit? Or is this something that happens on a regular occurrence to you and other domains on Namerific?
This is something that happens, on a daily basis. Pretty much any domainer out there, when you're buying domains, I don't think you should be paying the full registration price, especially the first year, because there's so many coupons out there and so many different registrars that you can buy domains at. There's really no reason to be paying, $12 to $15 for a domain, especially on its first year when it's a hand reg. Mm-hmm. So actually, I can show you today, a little bit later in the show, I can show you me in action buying a domain for 99 cents and using the coupon so that, your viewers can see that it is real. It's not a scam. And I'll show you that it's actually a legitimate sounding brandable domain that someone might actually buy.
Awesome. All right. And we're going to do that. We're going to actually flip to a screen share later in the show and show you step by step how that's done with Mike doing that. So stay tuned for that. Hey, Mike, do you have any idea how many times you've reproduced this type of sale where you personally have bought a domain name for $1 and then flipped it within a year or within a couple of years for a couple or a few $1,000s?
In terms of a number, I can't say exactly, but
more than 10, less than 5.
More than
what do you
10.
think?
Basically, almost every domain I buy that's a hand reg, I use a coupon, pick it up for $1 to $3. It depends. Sometimes the dollar coupons don't work, so you have to pay $3. Big deal.
Well, and so, a lot of people, maybe they're in college or maybe they're on a fixed income. This really appeals to them because they can buy a domain name for essentially nothing and then have the opportunity to flip it. And is this the kind of system where if they bought a domain name for $1, they wouldn't be able to buy another one for $1? Or
No,
like you just mentioned, is it possible to buy domain after domain for $1 to $3 each?
I can show you guys how to do that. There's multiple coupons in GoDaddy, for example, and you can create multiple accounts once, because like each coupon can only be used once, I believe. So all you need to do is create a second GoDaddy account with a second email address, and then you can use all those same coupons again. So,
all right, we're gonna get into that. Hey, Mike, let me ask you, how did you first discover that domain names could be a valuable asset worth selling in an aftermarket like your Namerific.com?
Well, I've been, buying domains for a long time now, but actually, I guess I first got introduced to, reselling domains for money back, let's see, this is like around 2009, around that time frame. I actually went to Hawaii for a month. And I rented a room on Craigslist. As it turns out, that's where I met my co-founder, Zane Gocha. And he was actually already buying and selling domain names back then. And he was telling me like, oh, I bought this domain, I sold it for this amount of money. That kind of like piqued my interest. So that's why I first heard about this little niche of making money buying and selling domains. We developed a friendship from there, and that's how I kind of got into the whole Namerific thing, because he actually started his own brandable domain site called ztgbrands.com, and from that he kind of morphed it into Namerific, which is what the site is today.
Gotcha. So you co-founded Namerific. Well, actually, your co-founder Zane started Namerific, or did you two sort of combine efforts and co-found?
We started the company together to like build the actual brand Namerific, but he was actually the original owner of the name Namerific, the domain, and he started the previous site ztgbrands.com, which is kind of what parlayed into the full site that it is today.
Gotcha. So how would you describe Namerific.com to somebody who's never been to the website before?
Well, Namerific.com is a brandable domain name marketplace where you can go and buy a brand for your new business, a project, a new app that you've developed, basically anything you need a nice .com domain for. And we just make it really easy for you to pick up a clean .com domain and a logo that comes with it. So it saves you time and it saves you money, because I guess time is money. And it's really difficult to find good .coms these days. So that's what we do. We find them and we list them up on the site. We pay a logo designer to create a nice brand, and then we just make it really easy. So that's how I describe the site.
So Namerific serves primarily those looking to start a company or looking to start a brand for a product or service that they have? Yes.
Anyone that wants to brand anything can come to our site and buy an actual brand name. So it could be, sometimes we have big corporations, they're developing some sort of new product. They'll come and buy a name from us. Or, it could be someone that just created a new app and they need like a cool name for it, but, they're too busy developing. They don't have time to be searching for domains, and, it could take a long time to find one. And
why only .coms, Mike? Why don't you have like the cool .me's or the .ios or some of these new TLDs that are coming out every day?
I think .com is still king. Even if you did find a really great .io or .me, your visitors, your customers are going to ask, all right, who owns the .com and why don't you? Right? So the .com is really, it's just been around for so long that everyone kind of considers it like, the primary domain.
Yeah.
So, I think that whatever business you start, you should try to have the .com at the minimum. You can also pick up those other extensions, but you should have the .com, because that's really shows that you really own that brand. I think.
Yeah, it's sort of the de facto standard right now for.
Yeah, it still
Now,
is. I mean, there's tons of other extensions, and
yeah.
there's some great ones, and you can pick up a really cool one. But if you really want to own your brand, I think you
Yeah.
have to have the .com.
What are the cool extensions in your opinion?
I think some of the .lys are kind of cool. .xyz is kind of nice. Yeah, .io.
Yeah.
I really like .cm because you can pick up some .cms that are actual. I guess I don't want to say they're typos, but you can get some high traffic domains that people are trying to type a .com, but they actually mistype the .com and miss the O.
Right.
So get some extra free traffic. So I don't know.
So if you're looking for typos, the .cms are a good one, but it's not great for branding.
I think it's good to own your .cm for your brand, or it could be, but it's really, if you want to make money with redirect traffic where you're getting a lot of visitors typing that kind of stuff in, first off, don't buy a trademark because I have experience with that. I've actually been sued by a big company for having a trademark typo. And
did they actually sue you or just send you a cease and desist letter?
No, they sued me in federal court.
Wow.
Yeah, I was fighting it for 3 years. You can actually, anyone can go look it up. Just look up Facebook versus Banana Ads.
Oh,
yeah,
that's not a small company that went after you. And how did it get resolved, Mike?
Well, it took a lot of time and persistence, but I finally got it resolved, and it's in the past now, so I don't have to think about it anymore.
Was it an expensive lesson learned?
Yeah, it was expensive. I mean, the most expensive thing about it was the time, because I actually defended it myself. I didn't hire an attorney. But I did have to put a lot of time into researching and kind of studying the law and other cases and kind of what to do. Yeah. So it turned out fine. I think it was actually a good thing that happened to me because I learned so much about the legal system and what not to do to protect myself in the future. So.
All right, we may have to do a whole show on that one, have you back on. But let me ask you, so you said you like the .ios, you like the .lys, but .com is sort of the, I said the de facto standard that people are going to assume that you own the brand when you own the .com. I do a weekly show with a few regulars in the domain name industry, and we talk about the new TLDs, and I wonder from your perspective, somebody that understands domain names, that owns a major marketplace, but isn't necessarily, an insider with respect to some of the consultants that specialize in the new TLDs. Do you follow any of the new TLDs like the .ninja or the, today, for example, .navy and .air force are coming out? Do you follow any of that news?
I don't really follow any of those. I do follow like the major sales that happen in the other major, I guess, extensions like the .ly, the more popular ones. And some of them are actually selling for good amounts of money. However, like I said, I forget what the exact statistic is, but I think 90% of domains out there are .coms. So it's still .com is still king, and I don't personally see that changing anytime soon. I mean, yes, I think there's opportunity to make money with other extensions, so you shouldn't totally ignore it. And it's not really that big of an investment to pick up a couple nice domains with other extensions, but I think right now, for someone who's starting a business or an app or whatever, it's really nice to own that .com for your brand, and that's really the main point I'm trying to get across.
Definitely. All right, so back to the discussion that we started with, Veravo.com, V-E-R-A-V-O. You registered for $1. Let's say that I was the one that registered that, Mike, and I wanted to list it for sale on Namerific.com. What are the fees to list a domain name on the marketplace?
Well, the fee is exactly $0.00.
All right.
The only cost is the time it takes you to go to the site, register for an account, and submit your name. Once you submit your name, we'll review it. If we approve it, then you'll get an email to forward that domain to the sales page. So if it's Veravo, you'd forward that domain to namerific.com/Veravo. Our system will recognize that it's been forwarded. That verifies that you're actually the owner. And then what we'll do is we'll have our logo designer design a logo, and we'll write a description, and then get the domain live on the site.
Who writes the description? You do, or I do as the seller?
We do. We do it.
You do.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've actually tested to have domainers write their own descriptions, and I think domainers are better at buying domains than writing.
Now, on some other marketplaces, they have to pay their designers to produce the logo because a domain name may reside on the marketplace for years without selling, and that designer wants to receive something. How do you work the finances to pay the designer before, without charging anything to have a domain name listed?
So how our system works is when you list your domain, you actually choose the price that you want to list it at for the actual sale price on the site, the retail price. And then it shows a breakdown of where the proceeds will go when the domain sells. So a cut of that will go to the logo designer. You can choose to award the logo designer between $100 and $1,000 for their design. That's
Wow.
when the domain sells.
Okay, so they get paid on the back end when it sells.
Logo designers get paid on the back end. So they don't make any money up front. However, we do have an in-house designer that we are paying up front to get some to basically expedite the process, because there is a lot of domains to go through, and a lot of these designers they'll design a bunch of logos and then they'll just kind of wait for a sale. And we need someone that's constantly designing.
Yeah.
So that's why we have an in-house person as well.
Gotcha. And do you require exclusivity if I were to submit one or more domain names to your website, to your marketplace?
There is no exclusivity. The other marketplaces, such as Brand Bucket, have these contracts in place. So if you get your domain on their site live, you are stuck listing your domain there. If you try listing it somewhere else, they'll shut your account down, supposedly. But if you list with us, you can have your domain in as many places as you want to increase the chances of a sale. So we don't have any exclusivity contracts except for the high premium names. Like if it's a very high premium name, like $100,000 domain or something, we might have a person-to-person contract, directly with that specific domainer to just have an agreement where we can have this listed on our site only for a certain amount of months or whatever. That gives us a little bit of comfort that we can actually go out there and try to find a buyer without worrying that it's going to sell somewhere else.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
But if I list a domain name, let's say on Namerific, and I list it for $3,000, and then somebody is smart enough to do a Whois lookup, contact me directly via the email address that's on the Whois record and say, "Hey, Mike, I'll give you $2,500 for it." It seems a bit unfair if I don't compensate Namerific for producing the interest in that.
Yes. So actually, recently that happened to us. We had a nice premium domain, jna.com. I think we had it listed for $30,000. And the buyer and the seller, I believe what happened was the buyer came to us, and we agreed on a price and everything. But then before the actual sale went through, the buyer, who is the domain, was able to, even though the domain had privacy, I believe, he was able to contact the seller, and then they generated a deal together, and we didn't make any money off of it. So
that's unfortunate. Does that make you want to rethink the way that you have the domains listed, that you get a contract if it sells, period, through any channel that you earned your commission?
We have to review our policies. I mean, it is pretty rare for that to happen because I would say most of the buyers don't want to go through the hassle of trying to work a deal directly with the domainer, because sometimes there are scams out there, and they might send the money over, they might not get the domain, whereas we act as an escrow service, and you're actually going to receive the domain when you pay for it, and the domainer is actually going to receive that money. So
that makes sense. So what types of let me ask you one more question about submission. How do you regulate the fact that I may own like 2,000 brandable domain names and submit them all to you? Like, you don't want to be inundated with a bunch of crappy domain names, for lack of a better description. How do you sort of moderate it when anybody can submit as many domain names as they want to you?
Well, I would say we get around 100 to 200 submissions a day, and I'll spend maybe, I don't know, it depends, but if I go through a list, I can pretty easily, filter out the bad ones that I don't want, and then just reject them. So, we don't like discourage anyone from submitting names, but if you notice that your names are getting denied a lot, then it should give you an idea of what we're actually looking for.
Yeah.
So, I go through a list every morning, and I actually work with my brother, who's my business partner on the site, and we pick the top submissions and we approve them, and the rest just gets filtered out because we don't want to have even there are a lot of decent domains that get submitted, but we really only want to list the best of the best on the site because I don't want my buyers to spend time looking through so many domains. So we actually have a lower number of domains on our site compared to the other major brandable marketplaces. So there's less names to filter through and higher quality, I think.
Gotcha. So in order, a lot of people will watch interviews like this and become familiar with the new marketplace like yours and then want to submit everything. What types of domain names are you looking for? What are the general guidelines that you provide to people in order to help prevent a lot of the domain names that you would reject from being submitted to you?
Well, we're basically looking for business names. Like if you have a .com domain that someone might use as a business name, we're interested in looking at it. Of course, all the general guidelines apply. We are looking for stuff that's shorter, less, double characters, something that's easy to spell, easy to remember. We really like 3-character domains, 4-character domains. Stuff that sounds really cool, even if it's multiple words or 2 words. If it jives together nicely, we definitely approve a lot of those.
What about like generic words? Do you?
Yeah. Made up words is they're really popular. Most of the domains we sell are made up, brandable names or words.
Okay, so something like SoundCloud would be cool.
Yeah.
But what about like SeattleChiropractor.com?
Something like that we tend to shy away from because it's so specific.
Right.
We kind of want our domains to appeal to a broader audience.
Okay, so no geo domains.
If you have like a geo character type domain, I would probably not approve it.
Yeah.
Like if it's something like, Seattle Chiropractor or something like that.
Now what if it's chiropractor.com? Is that a type of domain name that you would
Yeah, we'd like that.
You would?
I would definitely approve chiropractor.com, of course.
Okay. So even if it's like a dictionary word that applies to a specific product or service, you might take it. It doesn't need to be a brandable, quote unquote, which is like a made up word.
It could be a keyword domain. If you were a chiropractor, would you not want to brand your company chiropractor.com?
Yeah, I just don't know how many chiropractors actually go out looking for brandable marketplaces to look for a domain name for their business.
Yeah, well, there are. There's definitely. Think about how many chiropractors are in the U.S. There's thousands upon thousands, and they all have a website. So or you could actually go above all that and become a directory for all chiropractors. Chiropractor.com is probably already that. I haven't checked, but.
Okay, so if I did own Chiropractor, I would be very happy and I would submit that. How long does it take from the time that I submit one or more domain names to you to the time that they're reviewed and I get a response back saying that they're approved or rejected?
So we try to review and approve or reject all names within a day or two. Sometimes it does take longer. If it's on a weekend or holiday weekend and stuff like that. So once that happens, sometimes it takes a while because the domainer has to actually forward that domain to their sales page, so our system can verify that they own it. And sometimes that's actually the longest process because they're lazy, I guess. Or they don't actually know how to forward a domain.
Right. And you have a how-to tutorial on how to do that?
Yeah, we have some basic instructions on how to do it, or they can contact us directly, but it's really not too complex of a task.
Yeah, and we can, when we get in later into GoDaddy, we can show people how to set up a forward. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's very easy.
So...
But in terms of actually getting a domain completely live on the site with the logo and everything, usually it happens within a week or two. Sometimes it happens within a day. Like yesterday, I had a domainer ask me if I could prioritize her domains and get them listed right away, and I went ahead and did that for her. But usually we like to have the domainers incentivize a logo designer with a little bonus money. So we have an option where you could pay $25 and you'll have a logo within 24 hours guaranteed, and it'll be live on the site.
Oh, very cool.
Because logo designers, they love upfront money, of course.
Right. So they get a little bit up front and then they get it later.
Get the award when the domain sells. So it works out for the domainer or the designers because, you know, they're getting something, but they also have a really big incentive to make a great logo because they know they're going to make money if it sells.
Right.
And the logo is really what sells a domain sometimes.
Huh.
It's just a nice picture. Even if the domain might not be that awesome, if the logo is really cool, like it'll sell. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. And you mentioned 3 and 4 characters. 3 characters are really hot right now, but 4 characters, unless they're a word, they're not necessarily hot. Do you want any type of 4 characters?
No, I prefer a pronounceable 4 character or a 4 character that could be used as a business name.
Yeah.
So, I need one 4 character we have is hono.com, Hono, like Honolulu.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really nice 4 character. We own some domains like wek.com, WEKK. Those are all pronounceable 4 character names that we like.
Even though WEK doesn't pass the radio test, because if you said it on the radio, people may think it's WECK or
well, you know,
but it's still a domain name that you're looking for because it can be pronounced. You just have to explain it.
If you look at the domain, it actually looks pretty nice. So, I mean, I know the radio test is one thing, but it's not everything.
Yeah.
So if you do have a 4 character that, you know, you think would pass, go ahead and submit it and we'll probably approve it. We do reject most 4 characters that we get because they're like, you know, uyth.com or some weird, you know, string of characters that don't really mean anything.
Yeah.
And that's not something someone would usually brand a business with unless it actually means, you know, unless it's like, you know, I forget what the term is, but, you know, it fills in like an actual phrase.
Yep.
What the business stands for.
Now, hono.com, that's a nice domain name. If I were to submit that one to you, do you set the price or do I set the price?
You can set the price when you submit it. You list what you think you want to get for or what you want to retail it for on the site. And what we do is either we'll approve that or we'll adjust it. And if we adjust it, you'll get an email saying, do you accept our adjusted price?
Okay, so if I submit it and I say it's $100,000, what would you come back with?
I would come back and say it's probably too high and it's not going to sell for that much. So let's list it at, you know, 15,000 or something. And then you can say yes or no. If you say no, then it'll just, it won't go live. But,
gotcha.
You know,
so there's a little bit of back and forth to try and set the price.
Not usually. I mean, pretty much any price we set, people agree with. However, you know, once in a while, there'll be a domainer that thinks their domains are worth so much money, and I'll contact them directly and discuss pricing with them.
Doesn't every domain investor think that their domains are worth more?
Yeah, I mean, a domain is really worth what someone's willing to pay, and that's really what it's worth. So, you know, we're the ones working with the buyers, and we're seeing all the sales come in, and we know what things are worth usually.
You have a lot more data. Yeah, exactly.
Course, you know, it's great if we can list a domain at a higher price, but we also want to turn over domains. We want domains to sell, so we also want to price them aggressively as well. Right. You know?
That makes sense. All right. So we talked about how long it takes to get reviewed and approved. You know, I was wondering, how much traffic do you get on Namerific? How many people come looking for brands per month, would you say?
Right now we're getting about 1,000 uniques a day. It varies between, I would say 900 and 2,000 a day. It depends on the day. Sometimes we have spikes. Sometimes, you know, we'll have a low day where it's like 800 uniques, but that's basically without any of our paid advertising. That's just all natural traffic coming in through search engines and also domain redirects. So if someone's typing in a domain that they want to buy and it turns out that it's one of our listed domains, it'll redirect to our site. So some of the traffic is through that as well.
Very cool. And how many people actually of those 1,000 unique visitors per day that come to the site actually buy the domain name for the price listed versus want to negotiate?
So we have a few options. We have, you know, you can buy now, or you can make an offer, or you can inquire. I would say about 30% of the sales come through a buy now, and the rest are through offers or inquiries. You know, usually a buyer will come in and offer kind of a lowball amount, and we'll either work with the domainer, or if it's our own name, we'll figure out the lowest price we're willing to take. We'll respond to the buyer with that amount and try to make a deal happen.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of lowball offers?
We get a lot of lowball offers, yeah.
Do you just ignore those when they come in for $10 or $50?
Oh, we never get anything that low. I think
Okay.
the lowest offers we get are in the low hundreds. But yeah, I mean, we're really trying to target higher price names now, so we don't even want to deal with names that are getting sold for like $500 or less, because it's just too much work for not enough money.
Yeah.
I mean, to actually process a domain and everything, and receive the money, work with the domainer, and all that stuff, get it transferred. It's actually a decent amount of time to get a sale process. So we are really targeting domains $1,000 and up.
Quick break from 3 sponsors of today's show. First, are you tired of being upsold and cross-sold when you buy or renew a domain? Then try the newest registrar, being built from the ground up with a beautiful interface, competitive pricing, and 24/7 support. Uniregistry.com will surprise and delight you. The right domain can change your life. Uniregistry.com. Second, investing in Chinese domains is crazy hard without expert native language advice. Now, as a service to the Western domainer community, TLD Registry offers ChineseLandRush.com. Using ChineseLandRush.com will help you invest in Chinese domains with confidence and without knowing a word of Chinese. Finally, Media Options is a boutique domain brokerage firm that gets results. They've specialized in helping companies acquire and sell high-value domain names since 2005, with a client list ranging from funded startups to Fortune 500 corporations. Visit MediaOptions.com to learn more. Yep, and that makes sense. And if I do sell a domain name for $1,000 or $2,000, what's the commission that Namerific takes for doing the promotion, taking the sale, acting as the escrow agent, creating that logo, and then processing it? What's the total commission that I would pay?
So we basically work, the standard in our little niche, which is brandable domains, is 30%, and that's what we charge. So the reason we charge that is because we are actually getting a premium from the buyers. They're coming to our site and they're willing to pay this higher amount of money for this domain because it's packaged and it looks really nice and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's really end retail price is what we're getting.
Sure.
And that's usually higher than what you get if you just list it on like a GoDaddy auction or a Cedo listing, because it's just a domain itself, and usually the people buying those domains on there are other domainers that are looking for deals, whereas we're actually going for end users. And we also have a lot of costs, marketing costs, and just costs to run the business, of course. So that's why we have to charge a 30% commission.
That makes sense. And to be honest, if I buy a domain name for $1, which you're going to show me how to do a little bit later in the show, and you sell it for $2,000, you can keep 30%. That's well earned.
Yeah, no one really complains about the 30%. We do have a few domainers who've been with us for a long time, and they have a lot of domains with us, and we have a special pricing model with them, but it's still close to 30%.
Yeah.
So, it's...
Okay, so your standard's 30, but if I have some primo domains that I'm willing to work with you on,
if you have
something's negotiable.
Really premium stuff, we can negotiate with you. But,
all right.
yeah, I mean, I think what happens sometimes when someone kind of says, oh, 30% is too high, we'll just list the domain for a higher price so they get what they want in pocket. Yeah. And usually works out fine. So.
Good. What are the total sales at Namerific in the past year?
Total sales, we're in the 6-figure range for total revenues. So
okay.
I haven't checked my books, but yeah, it's up there.
All right. Any other details or requirements that you can think of at Namerific that would give somebody watching the show that might be interested in listing their domain name some tips on proceeding before they actually submit their domain names to you?
In terms of like how to buy the domains, or
in terms of we talked about you don't have exclusivity. You don't require them to sign a contract unless they're a high dollar amount sale. People redirect. Your commission is 30%. I think we talked about everything. Do you have any idea what your sell-through rate is? You know, if I list a domain name there that you guys liked enough, how long might it be on the market before it sells? Is there any way to determine that?
It depends on the name. If it's a
Yeah.
great name and we price it aggressively, it'll turn over. Someone will buy it. But what it really comes down to is what does the domainer want to accept as the price? Because some domains, I mean, we got 3 offers on a single domain in the past 2 weeks, but the seller doesn't want to sell at the price of these offers coming in. So, you know, it's really up to the seller to decide if a domain gets turned over, because they're ultimately the ones who decide what they want to take in pocket.
Right.
But I would say if you have a good domain and we price it aggressively, it'll sell within a year, around there.
Okay.
But
And
like
what are the best-selling domains on Namerific? Are they, you know, you mentioned that they need to be they need to be some sort of business, but do you sell more cloud-type domains or wearables or healthcare or?
Actually, the cloud domains are pretty popular.
They're still popular.
They're still popular. But I would say the most popular domains that we sell are just the made-up words.
Huh.
There's most of the domains we sell are just completely made up.
Like
Usually
your Veravo.
yeah, or it could be a word that's kind of a hybrid into a made-up word. Like we sold a domain recently, liquinex.com. It's like liquid, but it has like a weird ending or a different ending. Or reimburse. We sold emburse.com recently. They're just kind of hybrid, basically real keywords in a niche that are made into a made-up word or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say that I want to go through this process and then submit domain names to namerific.com for sale. What is your process to find a great brandable domain name?
Our process, well, I do have a team that I work with. They're actually overseas, so it's a more economical way for us to find domains. But I basically have one person. All they do is look for good brandables, and we have a few methods for that. One is we have some Excel tools that we can put in a base word, and it will add a suffix to the end of the word, or a prefix to the beginning of the word, and then it will generate thousands of made-up words with a base keyword, and then we'll take all those created names and we'll plug them into like a bulk search tool. Like on GoDaddy, they have a bulk search where you can search hundreds of domains at a time.
Right.
And it'll show us what's available. And then what they'll do is they'll look through that list and they will find the best of the best. And then every morning they'll email it to me and I'll pick the best of the best of that, and then we'll buy a few.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you know, the prefixes and suffixes, you know, I would suspect that would, you know, once you go through that process once or twice, you've pretty much picked out all the good ones. And there's so many domain name investors nowadays that they've already reserved the good ones of those. How do you find good new brandable domain names?
Well, a lot of times I'll think up names, or they will think up names and they'll just do a search and they'll find them. But one trick we have that I've been thinking whether I want to share it or not.
Do it, Mike. Do it.
Well, one trick is actually looking through these domain contest submissions, where there's some contest sites out there where people are paying money to have domainers generate a bunch of available hand-reg domains. Huh. And what we'll do
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll look through all those entries and we'll find the ones that are really good and we'll just pick them up. So that's one trick.
Where do people run contests to have domain names submitted to them? Is that like a 99designs.com sort of thing where people will pay to have a brand created for them, or?
Well, one is namestation.com is a good site where you can look up their contests, and you can actually pay for an account and get more access. But there's also free contests. Like if you look at the closed contests, you can find a lot of domains that haven't been purchased, but they're still pretty good. That's one place I would.
So it's sort of the power of the crowd to come up with interesting ideas. I wonder if you could go on to Mechanical Turk. Well, a lot of those people may not be native English speakers, but I Wonder if you go on a Mechanical Turk and say, I need somebody to search for a name that, contains some sort of cloud, and then one name gets submitted per person. You pay them 25 cents a piece for their set submission.
Yeah, I mean that's possible too.
Huh.
There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of sites too to find domains. I mean, one of our things though that we really like is this Excel spreadsheet that it just generates so many domains, and a lot of them are actually pretty good. Like I'm surprised they're not already taken.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I mean we try to buy domains every day. Sometimes we don't, but when I find good ones, we always pick them up.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. And do you know what the last 3 brandable domain names you've purchased? Like, what did you purchase today or yesterday?
Well, I haven't purchased anything today, but I can show you one that I'm gonna purchase on our little screen share thing in a little bit.
Okay. Let's do that. We're gonna switch over to screen share right now, and we're gonna see Mike's screen as he goes through the process to actually think of domain names, look for availability, register the domain name for $1 or very inexpensively, and then manage that domain name. So stay tuned. All right, Mike, we're back. I see your screen on the window right now. We're on GoDaddy. First off, I know that you and your employee work together on a nightly basis, and your employee or your employees come up with multiple domain names. They may send you a list that you get in the morning. How many domain names are typically on that list that you need to review and determine if you want to buy?
I try to keep it under 20, so they just send me the best of what they find, and then I'll go through that list of about 20 domains and pick the best one or the best couple ones. Or if there's nothing I like, I don't buy anything. So
okay,
depends. But usually there's something good in there.
All right. So of the 20 or so domain names that your employee sent you for review this morning, what's one of the domain names that was on that list? And why do you like it?
Nexuro.com. Nexuro.
Nexuro. That's probably the way I would have spelled it. Nexuro. And what does that mean? Like, what is that? What do you feel like when you think of the name Nexuro?
It sounds kind of techy to me. It doesn't mean anything in specifically, but it does sound like a company would use that, or there would be a company named Nexuro. So maybe like a software company, or maybe like an accounting business. Just off the top of my head, there's just a couple random ones.
It sort of makes me think next, like future, and then Euro. I don't know what that is, but clearly the Euro, EURO, but yeah, it does sound techy. So what's the first step that you would go through when you get this list and you like Nexuro.com?
Well, usually I just have my employee go through this whole process, so I don't actually do anything. But I've trained them to basically go to GoDaddy, log in, and purchase the domain using a coupon, and then they'll forward it to the specific sales page that it's supposed to go to on Namerific, and then they'll go on Namerific and submit that domain, and then it'll go through the normal process where the designer will design a logo and will write a description.
Okay. So, can we do that process on Nexuro so people can see it?
Yeah, we can.
Great. So what's the first step to find a coupon code for buying that domain name?
Okay, so the first step is to go to this link right here. Domain coupons for GoDaddy.
Okay.
And foxcrowd.info. I'll send you this so you can share it with your
foxcrowd.info/forum/topic/my-big-list/. Okay.
There's also, if you go on NamePros, there's an entire thread. Where is it? Yeah, it's right here. It's a GoDaddy discount codes thread with updates all the time. There's 750 pages of people posting about coupon codes on.
Now those drive me crazy because I can never find which one's valid and which one's not.
Well, we actually keep a list of the ones that whenever a coupon works for us, we'll put it on a list that we'll know that works later. But you can actually go on here. This guy just said that this coupon just worked for 99 cents. Oh wait, no. Yeah, this was yesterday, so we can actually try that one right now.
Okay.
So we go here and
Cool.
copy.
So you basically go to the end of the thread, find somebody that says that the coupon code worked, and then go to GoDaddy and try and buy it with that coupon code.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's one of the ways. They can also go to that page, which is here, the My Big List, and there's tons of coupons on here that still work, and they've been working for a while. So
Okay.
you can go down this list and find ones that work, and then plug them in. So
Okay. Let's head over to GoDaddy. Now, oftentimes when I sign into my account on GoDaddy, these coupon codes don't work for me because I'm a part of their domain discount club, which means that I pay a certain fee per year, and then my fee to buy a domain name is just $8 and change, period. Do you find that sometimes coupon codes don't work for you also?
I mean, a lot of times they don't work, but that's why we have multiple accounts. So, if it doesn't work for one account, we'll register it with another account, and then once that domain is in that other account, we'll either let it sit there until we need to renew it, but then we'll try to get it into our main account where all of our domains are.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just create a new GoDaddy account, but you really don't need to because there's so many coupon codes available that it might be a little time consuming, but you can buy domains for $1 to $3.
So it might be time consuming, but you're saving money, and so you have less out of pocket expense.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. So you did a search. Good news. This domain name is available.
It's available, and it's available because down here it doesn't say this domain. Sometimes even if it's available in an ad auction for thousands of dollars, it'll still say it's available, but it won't be available for this price. Or
right. Sometimes it's for sale through the GoDaddy auctions, and it may have a premium price.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So you want to find domains that are not registered by anyone. That's just available to hand register like this.
Okay.
So what you do is continue to cart. You don't want any of that stuff. Continue.
Okay, they're going to try and upsell you on some different things. Now, you're already signed into your account, I can see, which is showing me some domain names which are blurred out so that other people can't see them. And it's asking you if you want to renew those domain names.
Yeah, I'm just not going to renew those ones.
Okay.
But you go up here and you choose term 1 year from 5 years.
So it defaults to 5 years. You don't want to buy it for 5 years because
no.
Why?
Because it's just not necessary. You might sell it within the first year, and then all that other money you spent on those other years goes away. I mean,
right? You lose it anyways.
Yeah. I just recommend, unless it's like a really highly valuable domain, you really don't need to register for multiple years unless you really want to guarantee that it's not going to expire. But
makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, I noticed on the first screen, it actually said Nexuro.com was available for $2.99, but now it's saying it's $12.99.
Yeah, I think maybe GoDaddy didn't think I was logged in to my account when I went to the homepage, so it just showed as if I was a new customer, $2.99. But I think if I created a brand new account, I could register this domain for $2.99 without even using a coupon.
Gotcha.
Now that GoDaddy sees that I'm actually logged in, it's trying to sell it to me for $13.17.
Right. Okay, which is their normal price. Now, how do you enter that coupon code that you copied off of?
Yeah, at this point, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to scroll down where it says have a promo code, and then you're going to want to plug it in here.
Okay.
I
think you might actually have it on your clipboard.
Let me see. Oh yeah, I do.
Okay.
Okay, so paste it there. See what happens.
Right.
Okay, looks like that one didn't work.
Okay.
Still $13.
Well, see, it's funny because it said promo code has been applied, but it didn't actually reduce your cost at all.
Yeah, it didn't. So I'm gonna go to, let's see here. Let's go back to this and see if there's any other new ones.
So this is actually the process that somebody would go through. You try one promo code, it didn't actually reduce the price. You go back to the list, you try another one.
You will have to try a few. Let's see if this one works.
I'm glad we didn't get a coupon that worked right off. That one didn't work either.
That one didn't work either.
Was successfully applied even though it didn't work.
Yeah. So let's actually go to this one.
Okay.
And let me try to find a few. Animal 295. I feel like that one might work. Yeah. So now we'll have
Hey,
to have
look
a
at
price.
that. All right. So it's $2.95, but they tack on ICANN fees. And this is the fee that GoDaddy pays to the International Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers in order to allow them to do all the beautiful work that they do. So the total is
That's right.
$3.13. Is that good enough, Mike?
For me, it's good enough. If you really want a domain for $1, you can spend more time trying the other coupons.
Yep.
But for me, I'll
Now,
stick with this $3 one.
before you hit proceed or hold it for a second, you had
Sure.
mentioned previously that if somebody wanted to create a new account, they could oftentimes go to Google, search for domain name registration, see a 99-cent option, but they would need to have access to a different email account. Is that the only thing that's
You
necessary to create a new account on
well,
GoDaddy?
basically you just don't be logged into your current GoDaddy account and create a new account.
Okay.
But I don't recommend creating a new account for every domain you register. It's just too much work. You can probably have like 3 or 4 different accounts. I actually don't even know what GoDaddy's rules are with that, but you can have 3 or 4 different accounts and use each coupon once on each account, each valid coupon. So there's plenty of domains you can register with that method. So
Okay. So in some cases, there might be a 99-cent coupon, especially if you're a brand new customer. But in this case, because GoDaddy realized that you were an existing customer, the best you could find with
actually,
a little bit of work is $3.13.
This coupon was actually in the $2.95 bucket here. I mean, I could have tried some of the ones over here, the 99-cent ones.
Okay.
I mean, I can still try. I think we've used most of these though, so I don't even know if I want to try it.
Okay. No
But
worries.
they
I think
can
we
try
got the idea of how to search for the domains and then how to plug them in and look for ones that are working.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Okay.
this helps if you are registering a lot of domains because the costs do add up. So
Yeah. All right. And let's go ahead and process this. And then what I'd like to have you show quickly, Mike, is if you have, let's say, 2 accounts with domain names, but you don't want to get all the domain names into one account, what's the best way, the easiest way to do that?
I can show you after I get this domain in here how to move it to your primary account.
Okay.
And
Mike's just entering some who is information,
right.
so that area is blurred out that you don't see, but it's just basic information associated with the domain name.
Yeah, actually, I usually don't buy domain privacy because it costs like an extra $7 on GoDaddy, so it's not even necessary to blur that out. But sometimes I have my different GoDaddy accounts don't already have all this information in here, so I'll put here admin and Murphic, save changes. So usually your whois will be public if you're really trying to get this low cost. So and don't use a fake name or company. That's against the rules.
Right. You want to use real information because people might actually contact you to buy the domain name.
That's right.
And yeah, so that's important.
Yeah, I mean, you just update your billing information and your whois information. You want to update your whois before you buy it because if you update it later, the domain gets locked again for another 60 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So
basically, to explain that, there's a rule set by ICANN that says that if a domain name whois information changes, the registrar has to lock the domain name, so it can't be transferred out of the registrar for 60 days. And they do that in order to prevent domain names from being stolen and then transferred to, outside the country, for example, another registrar.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, and you can change all the other whois information. The only thing you can't change is the name. So you can update your address and your phone number at any time, but you have to keep the name of the registered person the same.
Okay.
That when you change that, that's when it gets locked for an additional 60 days. So
okay.
So let me go.
And let's say that I buy a domain name today, Mike, and I list it on Namerific, and next week, let's say it's for sale, somebody buys it. Even though it's locked, I can push it from one GoDaddy account to another.
Yes, you can. You can transfer accounts. So I don't know if
And we'll show you how to do that once you get through this checkout process.
Yeah, so I don't know if your viewers just saw, but when I tried to check out, I think maybe GoDaddy recognized my credit card, so it put the price back up to $10.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't see that. Boy, I'm glad you showed that because some people may be actually having that problem as well. So now you need to go back to the list, find another coupon code, and try and apply it.
Yep, that's right. And actually, that coupon just increased the price.
Yeah, GoDaddy has some interesting systems.
Yeah, but it will. One of these will definitely work, and we'll get a domain for a cheap price.
All right, there we go.
Back to
$3 again, and 13
Go back
cents.
again. Let's see if we can place your order.
Oh, the coupon code is not available.
Yeah, it's not a seamless process, as you can see. Let's try this one.
Sometimes it's not easy to save money.
Yeah, well, that's why I have my employees do it, because
it's
consumes some time to do this. Let's see.
Well, and I'm totally not doing a promo for GoDaddy when I talk about the domain discount code that I pay for. I think it's $90 a year, but it's, I like my time, and I don't like to search for coupon codes and try things over and over again. So I pay $8 and change for a domain. It's not the cheapest, it's not the most expensive, but it's a discount. All right, there we go.
All right, so we got a coupon that worked, $3.13, and I have this domain till the same date, 2015. So
all right. So it's registered for 1 year. It costs you $3.13 for that 1 year. And if you sell it between now and then, you don't have to pay another penny to GoDaddy for the registration.
That's right. But next year, when you need to renew it, you will have to pay a renewal fee. And you could spend more time, just like I just did, to transfer the domain or use to a different registrar and use another coupon to renew it. Or you could try to find GoDaddy renewal discount coupons.
So just like you did to register it, GoDaddy offers renewal discounts?
There are, but they're harder to find. And
it's
usually much easier the first year to get that significant discount. We don't typically spend all that time when we renew. We just pay I think we're in the domain discount club, like you mentioned, and we get renewals for like $8.
Gotcha. So you push it to an account that has domain discount club.
That's right.
And then you just pay the $8 and change for the domain registration for the year.
That's right. So now if I go in to manage my domains, I can actually push this domain to my primary account.
Okay. And this is the same that will happen at the end of the year when you want to manage it in your main account. And then also if somebody buys it and you want to push it to their GoDaddy account, this is the process.
Yeah, that's right. So to push it to the main account, you just do this. Oops. And then you go here. Where was it? Sorry, you might need to cut out some of this.
Yep, we'll,
sorry.
we'll take this part out. We'll just gray it. So basically you're storing certain information, account numbers.
I just need to get my account number.
And that's why this whole screen is blurred out, because it's Mike's just looking something up.
Yeah. All right.
No worries. Oh, so I get to see you actually have a training document for your employees.
Oh yeah, we have a
That's cool to see. So what you can't see as the audience is that Mike has a process written out, as well as accounts that should be transferred and how the entire system should work. Yeah,
I have dozens of hours of video training my employees on how to do all this stuff. Also cool. With documentation they can print out and have in front of them when they're doing all this work. So actually, as a domainer, I highly recommend getting one. If you're serious about starting a domain business, you can actually hire someone overseas to help you with this kind of stuff. And actually, I can actually tell you about that later, Michael.
Very cool.
So what you want to do is when you go to this point, you want to select Do Not Change the Who Is information, because then that will lock, or that will start another 60-day lock if you want to do details.
Okay.
And then, so I have all that stuff, and then I just hit Next, and then hit Finish. And then now
that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So now
the way that you started that process, Mike, was that you clicked the domain, and then
click the domain, and then I click the little plus yellow button, and I say begin account change.
Begin account change. It was the more plus and then begin account change. Okay.
That's right. And then if I sign in, I can sign into my primary account. And then once I'm signed in, I can actually go and accept that account change. So if I go here.
So you launch the domains. Yep. And then.
To this drop down.
Uh-huh.
On the top left, it's loading. But I'll go here to pending account changes.
Uh-huh.
Next zero. And then I'll say accept. And if there's more than one checkbox here, you did something wrong. Because that means you probably selected to change the who is information.
Right.
So you usually just want to have this one checkbox, then hit OK. And now the domain is in your account. It might take a minute or so.
Awesome.
Then,
all right. Now I want to submit Nexturo. Do I have to buy a domain name before I can submit it to Namerific for review?
A lot of people submit them, and then once we approve it, then they'll go out and buy it.
So you do allow that?
We do allow it, but you should, if you find a good domain, you should buy it, because if you're submitting domains that you don't own, I can't guarantee that
it may get taken by somebody else.
Yeah, it may get taken by someone else, or
I get emails all the time on Domain Sherpa saying, "Hey, is so and so register front running because I tried to register this domain name, was available last week and now it's taken." I'm like,
that's
yeah,
right.
that's there's a lot of people with good ideas.
Yep. So the process of submitting a domain is you would register on Namerific. You would go to the bottom over here and hit sell with us.
Okay.
And then you register there. And then what you do is log in once you're registered. And then you would go to the listing center and click add new domain. And then you put it like that. And you try to modify it so it looks good.
All right, so capitalize it where you think it should be capitalized. You don't even .com is just appended, so people shouldn't type in the extension. You only take .coms.
That's right.
Okay.
Price. The price. This is the price I want in pocket as a domain owner. Let's say I want $1,000, so I'll put it like that.
Is that a reasonable amount for Nexturo?
Yeah, I think that is. I think this domain could sell for a couple thousand, but this is the price in pocket before or after the commission and everything. So our system, as you can see here, updates the prices. Based on what you type. If I type in $500, puts the total listing price there. If I put it for $1,000, it'll list it here. And then if I change the designer award, it also updates all the prices, as you can see.
Gotcha.
So I'll set the designer award to $200 for this one. And
now, what difference does it make if I pay $100 or $500? Am I going to get a 5 times better design if I select 500?
Your domain will get picked up faster by a logo designer, typically, if you have a higher award amount. So that's one thing. But also, the designer might actually spend a little bit more time to make sure your logo is really nice, because they do want that $500, so they want it to sell. So yeah, you could choose 500, but of course your in pocket or the actual listing price of the domain will go up more, so it might be harder to sell. So you can just review all this stuff before you submit it.
And I see an option I can actually submit my own logo if I'm
you can
so inclined. Okay.
You can, but in this case I won't select that because I want someone else to have a chance to design it, and then I'll just submit. So now it's pending approval. So you can blur out this part, but I'm going to log in to my admin, and I'm going to basically accept that domain so that I will get the email saying that my domain has been approved, and then I'll show you how to verify it. So you get a domain. I'll go
All
here.
right, so this whole section, they don't need to see this whole screen. So we're going to blur out the whole screen here, Mike.
Yeah.
But basically, you're going into the admin. I'll describe it.
Into the admin. I'm reviewing the domain right now. I'm seeing the price. I'm okay with that and everything. I'm gonna send it into the verification mode. So now the domain owner will get an email saying they need to verify it.
Okay.
Which can show that email come in here.
So if it's approved or denied, an email will be generated?
If it's approved or denied, yes, an email is generated on all these different steps that take place. So let me go here. Yeah, so now I got an email saying, Namerific, your domain at Namerific has been approved.
Okay.
Hello, Michael, your domain next door has been approved and now pending verification. What you need to do is forward the domain to the sales page, which is namerific.com/nextdoro. So all the instructions are here, but essentially what you do is go into GoDaddy,
Okay.
open up the domain page, or actually, this is already done. Let me go into all domains here. Open up Nextdoro. So now this is where you can unblur the screen.
Okay.
At this point, you click the drop down, you click forward domain, and I guess put in this captcha captcha code.
At least I can read that. Sometimes I can't read those. Okay, so you
Yeah.
click add one now for forwarding.
That's right. And then over here you just type in, and then you just type in namerific.com/nextdoro, and you can click this little preview button to make sure it actually does go to Namerific. You typed it right.
Oh, cool.
And now it shows that it's unavailable because obviously there's no page set up yet. But once our system recognizes that the domain is forwarding, it will create a sales page.
Does it matter if you select 301 or 302 redirect type?
I use 301 because it's permanent. It'll always be forwarding. I think this one, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what this temporary one, how temporary it is.
Yeah. So basically, your system will work as long as it's forwarding.
Yeah. So what happens now is it might take a few minutes, but if I go here and type in nextdoro.com, it should forward. All right. Yeah. Well, GoDaddy is not forwarding it yet, but in a minute.
Right. It takes a while for GoDaddy to set up the DNS on their routers and DNS system, and then for it to propagate.
And also, my ISP has to update and recognize the new DNS, and then forward.
How long does it take your system to recognize that the forward is in place once GoDaddy sets it up?
Our system is checking every hour or two the forwardings. So once it recognizes that, what it will do is send the domain. It'll say, okay, this domain is verified now. It'll go into the next step where we notify the writers and the domain, the logo designers about the new domain that's available to design a logo for.
Awesome.
And as a domainer, that's the final step. You don't really need to do anything else at that point.
Right. Perfect. So that's the last step that, as an investor, I submitted the domain name to you. Everything is done. Now I just need you to create your team to create the logo, write the description, and list it for sale, and then keep my fingers crossed.
That's right. And don't let it expire, because if it does, someone might pick it up, and then we have to remove it from the site.
So you mentioned that you were using employees in other countries. What's the big advantage of using employees in outside of the U.S.?
The big advantage is cost savings, I would say. And also the advantage is you're giving someone a job that needs money. I have hired dozens of employees over the last 5 years for my online businesses, and I don't know if anyone's familiar with the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. It's a really popular book. One of his big things is outsourcing your time to other people. So you're basically hiring people to perform tasks for you that consume your day. And that's kind of how I've been running all my businesses the last few years, is outsourcing any sort of repetitive tasks that take up my time. So I have more free time to actually, grow my business and develop partnerships and do more managerial type work instead of doing the small stuff.
Now, I find, and I read that book, and I have tried to simplify my life and outsource as much as possible. I often find that I spend the most amount of my time doing email, interacting with people to try and educate myself, or answering questions from readers from the audience of Domain Sherpa. How do you outsource that stuff, Mike?
Training. It's really important to train someone or find someone who already knows the niche that you're in. And actually, you'd be surprised. There's actually people that are, all of my employees right now are in the Philippines, the outsourced employees that we have. And I've found employees that have worked for domain registrars in other countries that they're very knowledgeable about domains already, and those are the people I've picked up to work with Namerific. So yeah, you can definitely find these people.
It makes sense that you outsource the process of coming up with made-up words like Nexuro.com and then go through and look on this list and find a coupon code that's less than $3. And if you can't find one, then create a new GoDaddy account with, you know, these emails that maybe work with your system. And, you know, I understand how that process can be systematized, but do you actually use employees to go through your email and answer emails and file them?
My employees have full access to my email, and they will, you know, scrub out the stuff I don't need, and they'll actually notify me on Skype if there's an email I need to respond to, or they're already trained to respond to many emails as well. And they have their own email signature that, you know, when they write an email, people know it's them. So yeah, I mean, I think anyone doing any sort of online business needs to have some sort of help to save them time, because time is valuable, and if you really want to make serious money, you have to figure out a way to automate a lot of processes.
Yeah.
So
why do you use employees in the Philippines versus, you know, other countries where the cost of living isn't as high, is similar to the Philippines?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of places you can find outsourced employees, like Eastern Europe, India, places like that. But what I found over the years is that people in the Philippines, first off, they're very loyal, which is good. You can trust them. They're trustworthy. They're not going to like steal your business or, you know, try to duplicate, you know, what you're doing. And they speak English. It's an English-speaking country. I've been to the Philippines about 5 times, and almost everyone speaks English, especially the younger people that are, you know, in the 20 to 30 age range. So they can actually write for you. They could communicate with customers, and they can speak English with customers if needed. And it's also inexpensive to hire them.
How much does it typically cost to hire an employee per hour in the Philippines?
Well, I would say the average salary in the Philippines is about 7,000 pesos per month, or even 5,000 to 8,000, around there, I guess. That translates to a couple $100, but I typically pay them more than that, so closer to...
The average salary is only a couple $100 US?
Yeah.
Per month?
No, yeah, per month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I can see why you want to pay them more.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not hard to pick up employees. You know, we offer them a little bit more than that. And I also offer incentives. So they get their base, plus they can get a commission if they find, like, for example, this new domain that my employee found. If we sell that, he's going to get a nice commission on that.
Oh, that's cool.
A prize, you know, like a brand new iPhone or something. I have incentives in place for my employees so that they're, you know, excited to do the work.
Yeah. Excellent. So running a virtual company like this, where your employees are working in the Philippines and they're basically working while you're asleep, what does that allow you to do in your life that you wouldn't be able to if you were working a regular 9-to-5 job at a company that you had to you know, be there in person?
It gives me a lot of freedom and flexibility. I don't actually have to be at an office every day. I mean, right now I'm calling you from my home. So, I mean, I've had an office. I used to have an office in San Francisco for about 1.5 years, and I had employees there and everything, but I decided to go travel for 1 year, and so I, you know, kind of ended all of that. But yeah.
So you traveled for an entire year without living in a specific location?
I travel every year. I don't travel for a whole year at a time, but I do travel usually a couple months. I spend about 30% to 30% of the year overseas.
Wow.
Yeah, and I do travel domestically a lot. I'm going to New York next week for AdTech advertising conference, and then I'm going to Brazil after that for a few weeks. And I recently came back a few months ago I went to 18 countries over 3 months. So I do move around a lot, and I'm able to do that because I do have this staff that is assisting me with all the primary business functions that need to be going on every day. And actually, to correct you, what you said earlier, my employees don't always work when I sleep. They actually work my hours as well.
Oh, they do?
So they work night shift in their country, which is our, you know, daytime here, because this is when business hours in the U.S. is when most of this stuff is happening. So, but they're also able to work their daytime if they ask me sometimes. So,
and so if they have questions during the day, they may Skype you and want an instant message or do a face-to-face call like this.
Yeah, face-to-face calls. Sometimes their internet isn't as fast as mine, so they don't. Right. The face-to-face calls don't work as well. But there's a constant Skype conversation going on all day with all my employees. So.
And do you do they also have other jobs, or do you find that you're paying them enough that they are dedicated 100% of their time to you?
Yeah, no, they're all full-time, and this is their only. Usually when they work with me, it's their only job. I mean, they might do other things I don't know of, but it's not a problem because they're actually getting the work done that I need to get done.
Yeah.
So, and it's enough for them to live over there. I mean, they like working for me because I'll go to the Philippines every year or two, and I'll take them on a vacation to some exotic place over there that normally they wouldn't be able to go to.
Oh, so, nice.
Yeah, keep them happy.
That's great. And so you mentioned that you do a lot of traveling. You visited 18 countries in 3 months. Is that what you said?
That's right.
If I go back east, I'm in here in Seattle. If I go back east, I have no problems. I'm on the internet. Every hotel I go to has Wi-Fi available. But if I go international, I notice that it is difficult for me to find places that have Wi-Fi and be available on the same time zone as my employees. How do you manage that, getting internet access and being able to answer the questions for employees?
I typically try to stay in one location for a decent amount of time before moving on too quickly. So I kind of plan ahead. Maybe I'll book an Airbnb that already has reviews saying it has good Wi-Fi, something like that, and then I'll arrive at my destination and I'll have a workstation ready to go with Wi-Fi, and internet is important for me when I travel, so sometimes I do avoid traveling to places where I know the internet is not going to be good.
Yeah.
And recently I was in a few countries where the internet is even better than here, like South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore. They have 100 megabit per second standard internet.
Wow.
It's extremely fast.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I was in Israel last summer, 2 summers ago, and they actually have buses that have Wi-Fi built in. Like, that was cool. Taxi, you get in the taxi and you hook up to their Wi-Fi and you can check your email and so some countries that you wouldn't expect to actually have pretty good internet connectivity.
Yeah, I was actually walking around in Seoul a few months ago, and you can get Wi-Fi almost anywhere. So you don't even need a cell phone plan really. I use Google Voice for my cell phone when I'm overseas. People can text me or leave me voicemails, call me. I can pick up the call. I can call.
Now, are you worried about security when you're traveling in these countries? Signing into your accounts and passing your password and things like that. Does that worry you?
I'm pretty careful with what I do, but I've never had a problem with any accounts being compromised or anything. What you don't want to do is go to a public place and connect to the Wi-Fi and log into your bank if you're not sure about the network, because what hackers can do is create a fake network name that tricks people into logging into that, and then they can track all of your passwords and capture all of your data. So there's a few tips that you should know about if you're gonna log into public Wi-Fi.
Now, it sounds really cool, and I should be able to do what you do, but I've got a family. Is it possible, do you think, to do that sort of traveling with a virtual business when you have a family? What do you think?
I mean, it depends what kind of relationship you want to have with your wife.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I do have friends that have actually, when I was in Europe, a friend of mine met up with me and he brought his wife and kids and they stayed with me for a week. So it is possible to travel. It just depends on your personal situation. Right now I'm single and I've taken advantage of that. So I do travel when I can.
Hey, Mike, I mentioned at the intro that you're also the founder of bananaads.com. What is that business?
So Banana Ads is an online advertising agency, or some people call it an affiliate network. And what we do is we're basically a middleman between advertisers who own a certain product that they're trying to get sales for or leads for, and publishers who generate or who basically post ads on on the internet or drive traffic to that advertiser's product. And we facilitate that entire process with our tracking platform. And what our publishers will do is log in, and they can choose from a list of affiliate products to promote. And for example, it could be like a Geico auto insurance quote. And what will happen is they'll take that special tracking link from Banana Ads and they'll promote it. It could be on Facebook ads, it could be on email lists that they have, it could be in search engines, pop-ups, pop-unders, banner ads, in-text ads. There's all sorts of different advertising mediums they could promote that link at. And when a visitor will click on that link and fill out an auto insurance quote, for example, they'll get paid from me around $8, and we'll take in maybe $10 from Geico. Mm-hmm. So that's how we make money. We'll make like $2 on the margin for each sale that goes through, and we facilitate the relationship between both parties. So
that makes sense. But unless I'm writing a magazine or a blog about cars or car insurance or ways to save money or something like that, it might not make sense for me as a publisher of that website to use that affiliate link, that affiliate offer.
It depends. I mean, if let's say, you have a domain blog, Domain Sherpa, you can actually sign up on Banana Ads as an affiliate, and you can look up Namerific. We have an affiliate program, and you could grab our link, put a banner up on your site for Namerific. Anyone who clicks on that banner and goes to our site and buys a domain, you'll get a commission off of that.
All right. How much can I earn for that?
It depends. I think we have it set at 10 to 20% right now on the sale. So yeah, you can make some hefty money, I guess.
Yeah. Nice.
We haven't been pushing our affiliate program too much because we actually run most of our advertising in-house, but I can get some, find some specific publishers like yourself to maybe promote it.
And is there a minimum amount of traffic that my blog needs to have in order to work with an affiliate network like yours? Or will you take anybody even if I only have like myself and my mom reading my blog?
I mean, well, we pretty much take anyone, but we do like to work with people who do have traffic volume because it's worth our time to work with them, and everyone can make more money that way. We don't typically like to put all our resources towards an affiliate or publisher that doesn't have any traffic. Although we do have tons of training resources on how to become a successful affiliate, and typically I'll hand off those training resources, and sometimes I'll hear back from the people because they went through it all, and they'll actually become a successful money-making affiliate, or they'll just they'll get lazy and not do anything.
Awesome. Well, it's great to know that you have those resources. Mike, if people want to get in touch with you to maybe ask you a question about Namerific or maybe become an affiliate on bananaads.com, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Well, they could go to my blog, MikeNavarini.com. And I have a contact page on there with my contact info. Anyone is free to call me on my cell phone, 925-577-6273. They can text or call me. I'm on Skype at mike.navarini. I also have a Skype for Namerific. Just Namerific is the Skype name. They can email me, mike@namerific.com. Pretty easy to get a hold of. They can add me on Facebook.
How do I know you're replying and not one of your employees?
Because it'll have my signature in the email.
All right. If you have additional questions for Mike that weren't answered on this show, please post them in the comments below this video on Domain Sherpa, and I'll ask Mike to come back and answer as many as he can. I also encourage everyone to take a moment, and if you receive benefit from this interview, post a quick thank you. I know a lot of you listen to the show on iTunes, or you may download it through our feed and listen on another audio, maybe during your workout or during transport to commute in the morning or in the evening. Please remember to sign back on a Domain Sherpa and post a thank you to Mike. It encourages more Sherpas like Mike to come back and share tips and tricks like Mike did today. Mike Navarini, founder of the ad agency bananaads.com and the brandable domain name marketplace Namerific.com. Thanks for coming on Domain Sherpa, sharing how we can buy domain names really inexpensively with very little risk and then sell them on brandable domain name marketplaces like Namerific.com. And thanks for helping others reach their peak on Domain Sherpa.
I really appreciate it. And you can tell your listeners, if they want to ask questions in the comments, I'm happy to follow through with any questions people ask about any of the stuff we talked about. I know there people might be wondering, how can they hire someone in the Philippines or something like that. I have sites that they can go to find people, and I'm happy to share those kind of things in the comments.
Awesome.
If people ask.
Well, we'll let them ask, and if they're interested, then I'll have
Sure.
you come back and share those. That's much appreciated, Mike. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.